When you look at the situation as a whole, here is exactly what went down after another blowout loss for the Chicago Sky. This was Ariel Atkins speaking on behalf of Angel Reese. Of course, they traded for Atkins in the offseason.
And the amount of crap that she gets on a day-to-day, and she still shows up. So whatever questions y'all got about our team, basketball-wise, we appreciate it, but all the other nonsense, it's irrelevant. We here to play basketball and do what we do. We having a hard time right now at the end of the day. Just a 23-year-old kid who handles herself with grace. Her crown is heavy.
The reality check that Stephen A. Smith just gave has the basketball community talking.
Angel Reese, right? They're going back and forth. And Jamil Hill says by the time Angel Reese is done, she's going to be the Michael Jordan of WNBA.
She said about Angel Reese?
She said Angel Reese, by the time she retires, can you pull up this quote? She said, by the time she retires, she will be the MJ of, go to Jamil Hill, type in Jamil Hill, yeah. She says, by the time she retires, Jamil Hill has made a bold prediction that Angel Reese will be...
The basketball world is buzzing over Stephen A. Smith's recent reality check.
This is insane. Let me read you the ticket prices. After Caitlin Clark been hurt for 2 weeks. All right? So let's go through this. Caitlin Clark absence is having an immediate impact beyond the court. According to data shared by Yahoo Sports via TickPick, prices for 2 specific Indiana Fever away games against the Chicago Sky and the Washington Mystics dropped sharply after Clark was sidelined. Before the injury, the lowest ticket available for Fever's matchup in Chicago was $86. For the game in Washington, fans needed at least $41 to get in. After the news of Clark's absence, those get-in prices fell to $25 from $86 and $14 from $41. What the hell is going on with WNBA that they cannot handle all this attention that they're getting?
When Caitlin Clark was benched and the spotlight was at its greatest, after Angel Reese's most recent performance over the Liberty, the legend of one player only became stronger while the others broke apart. In a 27-point loss, the First Take host failed to keep out 4 points.
And this was a rough game from the Chicago Sky. And I understand a lot of people be like, you know what, they were in the game at halftime. They were up 1, and Atlanta got nuclear hot. But that's the most favorable way you can look at it. Atlanta were 2 of 18 from 3 at one stage.
At one point, let me describe the situation to you as Caitlin Clark sits on a seat with ice wrapped around her foot, presumably sipping a Gatorade. Atlanta turned nuke hot, but that's the best way to look at it. Angel Reese comes into this Liberty showdown with all the confidence in the world, causing you to question how someone could spend more time working out before the game than really prepare for it. She seemed as if she were going Milan Fashion Week instead of Madison Square Garden, with beautiful hair and nails.
You saw it.
I couldn't tell what happened. What was it looked
We ran into each other.
possibly like you stepped on her foot. It was as incidental as that.
You go look at it. Okay? Great. Next.
Second from the right. Y'all know we're here for She Got Game. For you, Angel, tonight you were extremely efficient, played with a lot of poise and confidence tonight. For for all the scrutiny you do receive online and stuff like that nature, what kind of messages a game like this send to them, as well as just the kind of momentum that this could build for you throughout the season?
Yeah, obviously don't worry about what's going on online. I get so much love in person. I haven't ever had a negative encounter in person ever. And I've been going through this for 3 years. I've never had an encounter in person that was negative. So people online are behind the keyboard for a reason, and I don't worry about that stuff. I trust my work. My teammates trust me. And I was telling Milla today, she felt like she was having a rough day, and I was like, how many times have I had a rough day? And you picked me up. So don't get down on yourself. I know my teammates have my back, my coaches have my back, and that's all that really matters. I don't have to prove anything to anybody but myself.
When he saw the box score, Stephen A. Smith probably had to wipe his eyes twice before he could comprehend what he was witnessing. It was more than merely a terrible game. It was a master lesson in how to blend in when the lights turned on. It's not a typo. It isn't a statistical mistake. In a game where she was meant to be the protagonist, that is all of Angel Reese's offensive output.
It's worth addressing. Angel Reese had her best game of the season against the New York Liberty. It wasn't even close. Clearly her best game of the season. She's really struggled finishing this year. She looked a lot more aggressive, taking the ball up. She took shots from the outside that I think she needs to do. She needs to pull up, make the defense honest. She looked like she was playing with a ton of effort, and the Sky still lost. They still got blown out, and the Sky issues go well beyond Angel Reese's field goal percentage. Obviously, Courtney Vandersloot out for the season. That's a blow, but they weren't even good before then. Their draft pick goes to the Minnesota Lynx.
You want to know what's making this even more difficult? Disguised as a WNBA game, this was a public execution. And even though everyone assumed Angel would take Clark's place on the sidelines, she delivered us a performance so horrible that it needed an apology letter of its own. The Liberty instantly fell down 10-0, and if they had really meant to disgrace Chicago, they could have won by 50. Apart from criticizing Angel's performance, Stephen A. announces that she is not Caitlin Clark as a basketball player with the same feeling of finality that terminates careers and starts therapy sessions, operating without anesthetic on her whole basketball identity. It becomes fairly warm at this time. Caitlin Clark is wonderful. It was more than just analysis. Delivered with the grace of a freight train, it was a PSA. Angel has been parading about with such confidence and comparing herself to basketball heroes, acting as if she is the next great player. However, she has such a low shooting percent from 5 feet, and beyond that it should be noted with care. Stephen A. highlighted that despite her 12 rebounds versus the Liberty, she is shooting 19 of 59 from the field, which is not just a symptom of difficulties, but also an intentional breach of basketball physics. Well done! You were given participation awards, even though your team lost by 27 points. It would be comparable to boasting about your attendance record yet failing every class repeatedly and generating nothing. Under the premise of basketball effect, that is just busy labor. Not to add the Michael Jordan analogy that was made, which most likely caused Stephen to quickly begin praying for basketball's collective soul. With the virus, Michael Jordan would have scored Angel's season total in a single quarter. Purists of basketball are angered only by the mention of their names together. Weep out loud because Angel had the perfect setup, and this is what really happened in the Liberty game. Highlight Reels is asking for restraining orders since Caitlin Clark's performance was so forgettable. With her big national television audience during prime time, she had every opportunity to prove she was on par with the league's finest players in the hopes that a change of venue could expose some latent scoring ability. In an attempt to shift her about like furniture in a haunted house, the coaching staff attempted everything. She attempted sending her little ball 5 power forward, but it didn't work. Tyler, by the 4th quarter, Marsh was probably frantically drafting plays in hieroglyphics, searching for any combination that might result in Angel making a shot, while Caitlin Clark, dressed in street clothes and sitting on the bench, is still managing to be more pertinent to the game's plot than the player who actually suited up. You know you've lost the plot and are going through an existential crisis instead of a slump when an injured player generates more excitement than your healthy star. The comments of the fans tell the whole tale. Social media was nasty. 4 points once again became the rallying cry of unhappy viewers who turned in anticipating pyrotechnics and were greeted with a soggy match lady instead, making it impossible for even Angel's most dedicated admirers to find decent spins. She became the basketball equivalent of having a charming personality and made other contributions. Even still, he went into the historical context that adds even more humiliation to the overall affair. It wasn't over for Stephen A. That act of disrespecting Caitlin Clark during the LSU championship served as the cornerstone for Angel's whole WNBA character. The challenge is that a college experience alone cannot be used to develop a vocation. You must eventually compete professionally in basketball. Ironically, one player's confidence led to an improvement in their game, while the other is still riding the wave of a collegiate memory from 3 years ago and putting up statistics that would not impress a junior varsity coach. We'll assess the efficiency figures that have given that Angel has only scored 21 field goals and been blocked 20 times, which is more than merely bad shooting, Stephen A. and the others are asking what precisely she adds to the game. She is turning basketball into a performance art work about futility, an interpretative dance about failure. In Caitlin's case, despite the fact that one player is stretching the frontiers of professional basketball and the other is rewriting what it means to contribute, Clark becomes unavoidable since they entered the league as the defining rivalry of this generation. Legendary are Clark's triple-double figures. An even harsher image is drawn by the WNBA's viewing stats. Despite having multiple all-star players and athletes donning trademark shoes for context fever games sans Caitlin, the Liberty Sky game only drew slightly more than 600,000 views on ESPN. For all the wrong reasons, Angel's shooting percentages are unprecedented. Stephen A. wasn't kidding when he boasted that Clark could pull up from any place, much like Steph Curry. Clark has proved the ability to generate amazing long-range shots that should come naturally to everyone who has ever touched a basketball. Rivalries and personalities form the heart of the league's overall marketing strategy. When half of the rivalry is unsuccessful, however, what happens? On lesser networks, Clark still is better than that. By now, everyone were buzzing about Angel's pregame outfit. Steven, when you create more interesting stuff with your pregame catwalk walk than with your in-game play. I questioned out loud if she spends more time refining basketball concepts than regulating her clothes. In addition to becoming an influencer, you also possess basketball footwear. You're not a sports person. It must be growing very frustrating for the coaching staff. Think about developing a game with a player that often performs badly at key occasions. Every timeout becomes an intervention, and every substitution becomes a mercy killing of Tyler. The explanation for why criticism works so effectively because it keeps Angel to the standards she created for herself, rather than criticizing her personally. She positioned herself as Clark's equal, labeled herself a star, and courted the competition and comparisons. Now, when such similarities make her seem like an average person, she has to confront the ramifications. And the truth that no one else dared to express was spoken by Stephen A. What do you think of the whole thing? If you think Stephen A. was right, please share your ideas in the space provided.